Hey folks, Turbine Guy back at you one more time here. Today what I'm here to talk about is something quite anti-patriotic and anti-American, which is why I'm wearing my flag and patriotic department t-shirt. Because by the time I think we're done here, we're all going to see just what I'm talking about. Now, what I'm talking about is an order issued from Judge McGill of the Hennepin County District Court in case number 27 CV17 7166 against Jay and Kendall Nygaard and Go Green Energy. Now, this order was obtained by the city of Orono, and we're getting ready to appeal it right now. But I think it's important to point out the fallacy of half of the order. Now, this order is an injunction, as you can see. That's what we're talking about, is a permanent injunction. It was written by Jared Shepard, the Orono attorney from Hoffberry, PA, and after watching this guy in court, I can only think that PA means professional assholes, because that's what Mr. Shepard is. He left ethics at the door a long time ago. Being honest, being upfront, and having honor while represent the city is not a part of Mr. Shepard's background or what he really believes in, just from what I've seen in his actions in this case. Now, as I said, this permanent injunction was signed, and it was actually rewritten by the Hennepin County Judge McGill, and that's an interesting story itself. Now, what he did was he signed the exact order that Shepard wrote. We complied with it. He tried to get us in contempt and throw my wife and I in jail for 6 months. And instead of the judge recognizing it was such a terrible order, Judge McGill blamed me and said it was my fault that I didn't know what the city wanted. As if I'm just supposed to guess, and hopefully I guess right. Now, he actually rewrote that order from Shepard, using my words, as he said, in order to ensure nobody was confused. Well, I wasn't confused, and if I was, they would have been able to throw us in jail, but that never happened. So, anyways, the second part of the order, well, the first part I already did a video on. That talks about I have to remove a 10-foot spruce tree with a flagpole, brackets for flagpole on a shed, steel clothesline pole, a portable soft-sided storage structure, which actually says right there, portable temporary. What the hell they suing me? What the hell they suing me for anything temporary for? You know, I put a structure over my boat to keep it safe in the winter, keep the snow off it. No, I get sued. I made a video about that, and I'll post that link so everybody can see it. This is the second part of the order that I said I'd talk about, and it's where we are specifically enjoined from violating these ordinances. Now, before I get into what these ordinances are, I want to pontificate for a minute. What the hell is a judge doing writing an order saying you can't break the law? I mean, the law is already there and it already has consequences. How can you say, okay, you're going to get double consequences now just because we say so? And it's actually bigger than double consequences, because anybody else who might tend to violate one of these and deal with the city works with them to correct it, and they have a minor fine or minor this or minor that. They aren't right away threatened with 6 months in jail. And that's what this injunction does, is it hangs a 6-month jail sentence over me, my wife, and my company. Well, we'll get into that. There's no evidence my company, Go Green Energy, had anything to do with anything, but Judge McGill just blindly signed the order written by Shepard, including it. So now my company has a judgment against it for nothing it ever did. So, didn't break the law, has a judgment against it. You tell me. Okay, well, as I said, what's a judge doing writing an order saying you can't break the law? That's like if you got a speeding ticket, fought it in court, because that's what this is all about, is I'm fighting it and saying, no, you're wrong. This is all about standing up and trying to do the right thing and getting the courts in the city to follow the law, to get them to follow the law instead of playing games. Well, no, they're still playing games. So, anyways, What are you doing? You go to court, speeding ticket, fight it, you lose. Okay, well, Mr. Nygaard, not only do you have to pay your fine for the speeding ticket, but if you get a speeding ticket again, ever, you have 6 months in jail hanging over your head. Now, wait a minute. That's not how it works. The law is written that if you get so many speeding tickets, there's remedies for that. Judges don't enact extra penalties on you for this type of stuff. And speeding is actually a criminal action. Nothing we're talking about here is criminal, and we have a 6-month jail sentence hanging over all of our heads if we supposedly violate this. Well, let's go into what these are quick, okay? Ordinance 78-328. Conditional uses. And I'll flash this up so you can read it for yourself. Now this is interesting because the conditional uses include golf courses, guest houses, farm animals. That appears to be the biggest. Okay, so those are the three main categories it looks like. Golf courses, tennis clubs, nonprofit camps, religious camps. We don't have a religious camp. Guest houses, non-rental guest apartments. That's what the conditional uses is about. Now, I'm explaining these to you. In a minute, you're going to shake your head once I start using the pen to explain stuff more. Okay, alternative. Oh, next one, 78-329. That's in the same one here. 78-329, same packet. Accessory uses. Now we're talking about accessory uses. It says the only permitted accessory uses and structures are the following. Well, do you know how ignorant that is? That statement right there is as stupid as it gets. Because I bet if I look through here, I won't see mailboxes. I don't see basketball hoops. There's a lot of things I don't see in here. I don't see clotheslines. They do have something called laundry drying equipment. And it's got nothing in there to control it. It just says it's permitted. So I guess you can put your laundry drying equipment, or like normal people call them, clotheslines, anywhere you want to within your yard. So these accessory uses include buildings temporarily located for construction. Well, we don't have any of those. Driveways, sidewalks, or parking spaces. Detached garage. And buildings subject to performance standards. Private docks. Kennel structures. Signs. Flagpoles. Gardening. Compost structures. Home occupations. One temporary roadside stand. Storage of recreational vehicles. Garage sales, laundry drying equipment, and other uses that are customarily incidental to and subordinate to. Well, that's where you get your basketball hoops, clotheslines, and that's where the wind turbines fell into years ago. Now, out of all of these 17 things, we were sued for one. Yet we are now enjoined with an extra hammer hanging over our head for the rest of us. So there's just one. Next one, 330, lot requirements. Now, lot requirements on a property are, say, the size of a structure, where it's to be located, and those types of things. You know, area, height, lot width, setback, yard requirements, okay? And they end up having a nice little table in here telling you principal building, accessory building, oversized accessory building, and accessory structures, but it does not include, notice it does not include accessory uses. Therefore, the accessory uses are not required to meet this statute. But, one more time, we are prohibited from any of that, from violating any of that. Next one, alternative energy systems, 1379. Now, this is all about solar, wind, geothermal, and hydronic furnaces. Okay? And we're going to talk about the wind specifically in a minute and the others. But this is what they really sued me for, was the fact that I'm a green guy and I keep trying to harvest the wind with micro wind turbines, which, by the way, are legal according to Minnesota Statute 216F.02. Now, we sued the city and won, and they never challenged that decision, meaning that we have an injunction against the city and we get to have wind turbines. Yet after that, they still sued us, and this Judge McGill ignored that lawsuit. He didn't care, and he wrote against us that we can't have our wind turbines. That's just crazy. Okay, next one. 1279.1. Well, 1279.1 is placement of building and structures on lot. Okay, building structure, it says right on here, building structure and on-site sewage system. Okay, how far it needs to be from the lake. Now, once again, the word structure is used here, and the word use is not used here. So uses like mailboxes, basketball hoops, are not held to this code because the wording isn't there. And one more time, Judge McGill decided that words don't really matter. It's all about, you know, the overall thing that I got to do what the city wants me to do. It's not about the law and the words. It's just about signing off and not dealing with it. So that is 1279.1. Now 1405A6. Now we're getting pretty specific. Now 1405 is non-encroachments. And these are the things that aren't encroachments. Okay? And A, the following shall be considered to be encroachments on the yard setback shall not be on the yard setback requirement. Okay, and 6. 6 is retaining walls, planters, and similar structures. Okay, so let's remember that. Retaining walls, planters, and similar. So we cannot violate that non-encroachment, except, wait a minute. How do you violate a non-encroachment when the entire purpose of the following shall not be considered to be encroachments on yard requirements? Don't violate something that says you aren't violating it. Sorry, I just figured that out. The Judge McGill signed something preventing us from violating something which says if we were using these, we aren't violating. That makes absolutely no sense. No sense. Okay, next, permit requirements. This is 78-1146A1. Permit requirement. A permit must be obtained from the city administrator prior to conducting the following activities. Now here's the best part. The erection, addition, modification, rehabilitation, alteration of any building, structure, or portion thereof. Building or structure, okay? A structure needs to be called out, and they showed that earlier in the code when they called out permitted accessory structures, and they called out separately permitted accessory uses. Now the permitted accessory uses are, hello kitty, are not required to follow the same guidelines for setbacks and such. And it calls it out. Now what the courts did was say, well, Nygaard, your accessory uses, we are going to consider accessory structures just because the city's calling them that. We aren't really going to care about the fact that it's called out in certain ways here and other ways in the code to make it clear. We're just going to do that. Now, normal maintenance and repair also requires a permit if such work separately or in conjunction with other planned work constitutes a substantial improvement. You need a permit if it constitutes a substantial improvement. Well, if you're the way I read this, if you're replacing a window, you don't need a permit. If you're replacing a door, you don't need it. It's not a substantial improvement. It's just replacing what's there. So there's a lot of ambiguity in this permit requirement that we're not supposed to violate for buildings and structures. But what about the uses? Okay. Now, last but not least, 1577, exterior storage. And we cannot violate this entire ordinance, which is this big. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing. We're just going to breeze through a little bit. But basically, it talks about RVs, mobile homes, pickup coaches, travel trailers, special mobile home equipment, utility trailers. And it also talks about exterior storage shall comply with the following. And they've got a list of things. You know, they don't want you to have construction equipment or debris and all kinds of other stuff. Now, the interesting thing about this lawsuit was we never had any of that, yet the city, Mr. Shepard, kept lying to the court saying it was all over the place. What we had was dock equipment. That's what people have is dock equipment. got a couple of ladders. My neighbors got ladders. Other people have ladders outside. You know, we just have typical stuff that people had. And so we are enjoined and we now ordered to follow this law, or we have 6 months in jail hanging over our heads. Now, these are the ordinances that we are permanently enjoined, including my company, which had nothing to do with any of it, from violating. And I gotta tell you, I gotta believe that I and my wife and my company are the only people in Orono, probably Hennepin County, probably the state of Minnesota, that have a list of laws that they're ordered not to violate. Now that's like double indemnity. Double pun. How does this order work with the equal protection under the Constitution clause? How are we equally protected from excessive punishment when we have an extra 6 months hanging over our head when nobody else did or does? Let's go back to the speeding ticket analogy. 1, 2, 3 speeding tickets. Judge doesn't at one point say, that's it. If you get another ticket, not only do you have to suffer the consequences of that ticket, but you got 6 months in jail. That doesn't happen. Unless, of course, you plea yourself out and set yourself up for that. But we haven't done that. So we have all of this. Now, here's where the fun part comes. I'm going to start crossing off everything that we are enjoined from doing that we were not sued for. Okay? That we were not told in any manner through a letter, through the lawsuit, any words in the lawsuit, through any words in the other than this, that pertained to any of these, okay? First of all, there were no conditional uses ever brought up. So we are enjoined, right here, from violating, we are convicted of this crime, and we were never even accused, let alone prosecuted for doing it. Judge McGill is responsible for signing that. Jared Shepard is the one responsible for writing it up. Next, accessory uses. Driveways, well, we'll get into that in a minute. Detached garage, kennel, signs. There's a few more things in there. We were never accused of violating any of this stuff, yet we're enjoined and we have an extra penalty hanging over our head. Now, the interesting thing is about the dock, they were going after us for where we stored our dock in the winter. And they went after us, and then when I went out and made a previous video showing everybody else stores their docks, then all of a sudden they dropped that. So, we can kind of leave that one there, I guess. Lot requirements. We were never accused of violating the area, the height, the lot width, some setback in yard requirements they accused of us. So these three, we were never, now, one more time, here's 3 different laws that we are enjoined from doing, and it's not very specific like these are down here, it just says everything. So, once again, we are convicted of all these crimes we did not commit. Now, the setback and yard requirement, I'll get into that one more time, those were accessory uses. Okay? Accessory uses, it says in their own code we saw, does not need to follow those setback requirements because they're considered non-encroachments. Let me use this is a good color. They're considered non-encroachments. So, ordering us to remove stuff that was legal where it was because of non-encroachment, actually, this is another very questionable thing they went after us for. Okay, now, alternative energy systems. We were not accused of violating anything solar, geothermal, or hydronic furnaces. We were not accused of any of that. We were only accused of violating the Orono Wind Turbine Ordinance, which the Orono Wind Turbine Ordinance violates Minnesota 216F.02. This trumps this. We won a lawsuit getting our right to have this, And yet Judge McGill, you got to have read again, Judge McGill does not care about state statute, does not care about a previous decision with Judge Bush. By the way, this trumps this too, especially in regards to us, because we won our right to have our wind turbine, and Orono did not appeal that lawsuit. So even though they sued us after, this is called res judicata. Judge McGill, got to use a red, does not care about res judicata, does not care about state law, does not care about Judge Bush. So here is one more ordinance. We are entirely banned from or ordered to not violate, yet 3/4 of it, and actually if you look through it, it's hilarious because the wind turbine stuff is like 6-7 pages, or these are each 1 or 2. Okay, so they really had to make sure they controlled the wind turbines just so they could get it right, and they did all that, and they're still violating state law. So one more time, more laws we did not break, more crimes we did not commit that we are enjoined from and have extra penalties. 78-1279-1, buildings and structure and on-site sewer from lake. What? On-site, what? There's nothing ever came up about a sewer. Why are we enjoined from that? Buildings, Orono didn't sue us for buildings. Orono sued us for what they called structures. But remember, these structures were actually uses because they were not called out in the code as an accessory structure before they were installed. Therefore, they're grandfathered in, subject to state statute, Judge Bush. And Judge McGill, one more time, we'll just draw another line under there, one more time, refused to acknowledge a true definition of that word. He just goes with what the city says, whatever. Now let's get down, so here we go. We are enjoined from that, and 2/3 of it you can see we never violated. But we got a whole laws against us and my company. Now we aren't, I went through this a minute ago. How can you be ordered not to violate a law that says you're not violating the law? That's what this is. And it's in regards to retaining walls and planters and things, one more time, we're never in a lawsuit. So even though this makes no sense, we are still convicted of one more crime we did not commit. Next one, permit requirements for building and structure. Well, I highly disagree that I violated any building permit requirement because in Orono accessory uses do not require building permits as ruled by the Minnesota Court of Appeals and not overturned. Okay, they ruled that clotheslines, flagpoles, and basketball hoops populated the city without controls. And they wondered how our wind turbines were different in order to remand. Well, we are ordered not to violate. Let's just give it to them, but there's no building. They didn't, building. So again, they claimed a structure, and we know that that structure is an improper use of that word according to how the code's written. So here we go, here's another one. Even if they're right on that, half of it we didn't do. Last and not least, exterior storage. We don't have any RVs. We have no mobile homes, no pickup coaches, no travel trailers, special mobile home equipment. I do have a utility trailer that comes around. It's, snowmobile trailer. Comes around now and again, but it was never brought up as an issue in the lawsuit, so we're just going to cross that off too. So what they tried to say was I was illegally storing construction equipment and stuff out in the yard, and I was just putting it where I had for decades, and it was my dock equipment, extra dock parts, that kind of thing. And so instead of just pointing out, hey, construction equipment or whatever, because they had couches, furniture, washing machines. I had none of this stuff out there, and yet they accused me of it, and I have an order saying I can't do it. So one more time, how many laws did we not even be accused of breaking that we're convicted of? Look at this. Out of all of this permanent injunction up here, all these different ordinances, potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of how many different things, and you know, these 5 are very questionable, as pointed out, not just by me talking, but by words in the Orono Code, the Minnesota State Statute, as well as Judge Bush's order. I don't get it. What the heck is up with a judge that would sign an order like this and then blame me because I didn't know what the city wanted? How the hell can I know what the city wants? They have everything I could possibly own on here. Everything I could possibly own. How the hell would Judge McGill, how the hell would I know what the city wants when you sign an order that's as bullshit as this one is? I don't know how else to put it. I mean, you're wasting our time, our money, and the problem is what you're allowing, Judge McGill, is persecution of other people like the dock lady in Orono. Letting these cities think they're running roughshod and not holding them accountable. And not doing what your job is. The damn judiciary was started as a separate form of the government to keep check on the government from persecuting the people. It was not to keep a check on the people from persecuting the government. And this kind of order shows to me 100% that what Mr. McGill is about is protecting a bad attorney who writes a bad order. Jared Shepard. I mean, who the hell would do this to someone? I know who would. This guy and the city of Orono. Well, there you have it, folks. Quick wrap up. Me, my wife, and my company are enjoined from all of this, even though we did not commit these crimes. We were convicted of all these crimes that we were never even accused of doing or charged with. And the best one is the non-encroachments, where we are prohibited from violating an ordinance which says if we were doing this stuff, it's not violating the ordinance. Really makes you wonder. Makes you wonder what's going on down at the courthouse, and makes you wonder what justice is really about these days. Is it about justice? Is it about following the law? Or is it about something else?